You can offset your bill by potentially 100% if you have the system designed properly. This is the Renewable Radio, sponsored by the Hale Group. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Renewable Radio Podcast. I'm here today with a guest, Steve from KMM Energy Solutions. He's a subject matter expert in solar surveys. He's been doing it for a very, very long time. I'll leave it over to Steve to talk a little bit about what he's been doing within the industry, how long, and everything like that. So, Steve, could you tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Yeah, how you going, guys? How you going, Ash? Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, great to have you.
Yeah, guys, I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. Worked in several different parts of the industry, I suppose, from surveying over the phone to surveying, one-to-one in the house. So that 10-year experience, I suppose. For the first 2 years, I was travelling around Australia with my family in a caravan. I was getting leads from a solar company in Byron Bay. He would give me the leads. I would then sort of talk to them over the phone, qualify them, make sure that this is going to be the right decision they're making.
Yeah, massively important.
Massively, and from there he'd go and fit the gear, and then probably 2 years after that we sort of moved to the UK.
Okay.
My wife's English, so kids were born in Australia, but
dual nationality then.
Yeah, that's it.
Brucey bonus.
I'm the only one without the English passport at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, they are lucky. They got Australian passport.
Yeah, mate, you're lucky. But so then we moved to the UK. I started working for the largest solar company in the UK at the time, which was a company called Project Solar.
Okay, yeah. Obviously I know Project Solar. They're a massive national company. They've done great things within the solar industry.
They have. I think they've been on the board, I think, before a lot of people were here. So it was, what they sort of have done. And I know what they did for me to start with, They've turned me into the surveyor I am today, I suppose. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
they've done something right there.
They have, mate. They have. So, after about probably 2 years ago now, we decided to sort of step away from it, me and my business partner, and decided we'd sort of start our own. And thought that we could help people, in our own way, more so than with a national company. So
yeah, definitely, and that's what, from conversations that we've had, that's definitely what you're doing. Especially the projects that you've delivered for customers and the customer experience that they're having with you and not a national company. I think that's a credit to you guys,
Yeah.
So from the survey side, what should a customer expect when they have a survey done just as a standard in the industry? Because there's obviously the renewable industry and solar industry is going through a bit of a boom at the moment. In my personal opinion, every property in the UK is going to have solar on their roof just because of the rising cost of electricity. So there's not a lot of information out there for customers to read and knowledge for them to gain, to know whether they put in the right company in their property to do their projects. So from your experience, what would you say the customer should be looking out for, or what they should be doing with regards to preparation for a survey?
Yeah, so what they should be looking out for, Ash, personally speaking, you should make sure that company's fully accredited, with all the accreditations being your MCS, your NAPIT, all those sorts of different registrations that you sort of you need for solar.
Yeah.
And then also have a look at the company's sort of, Trustpilot reviews, those sort of things. That sort of gives you good insight. Yeah. Trustpilot can't be fudged, so it's...
same. Google reviews is another good one. If you're getting them off a third party lead thing, so Check a Trade or Yell.com, always look at reviews, I recommend. The customers are doing their due diligence in the other companies.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And obviously HICE or REC as well is massively important.
Exactly right, yeah.
So that customers know that their deposits are taken care of just in
Safe
case.
And secure.
Yeah, because if the company goes bust, what REC and HICE do is they, as you know, they obviously protect the customer's deposit so that the companies can't run off with their money. So they're key things that they should be doing,
Absolutely.
So obviously, in your role, I expect you've seen on like retrofit stuff or going in and where like shoddy installations have been done. You would have seen some sites, yeah?
Yeah, it's gone from going into mansions, I suppose, to going into all sorts of households where you sort of can't wait to get out of, I suppose. But
yeah,
all demographics, it works. I suppose the main thing is, you want to make sure the customer's qualified, really, that, the customer actually is going to work for the customer. And, it's a big outlay for solar. It's something that, I think everyone's going to need to have moving forward with the energy, crisis that we're having now, and it's only going to get worse when sort of that Hinkley PowerPoint comes on. And
it's only going to rise. Like, I know at the moment, well, before the election, obviously today's, we got the results of the election, but it was on a stop, but they're promising the future that there's not going to be a rise. But we know what politicians are like, and if you look at the data, the only way that electricity and gas prices are going is up. There's been a 33% rise in utility bills. Well, over 33% in gas alone. It's been 33% in 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think electricity is even greater. I remember going to people's properties, and they were sat in the front room with one light on. Wouldn't want me to put the boiler on and test it because he was worried about utilities. Well, why I'm doing this is because like solar and renewable energy is a way for that not to happen and for us to fight against fuel poverty.
Yeah, to allow you to have control over what's happening. You're taking back that control from the companies, I suppose. If you can produce your own energy that you're actually using, storing, and then being able to even send back to the grid.
Yeah.
Like for example, I've had a customer recently reach out that the system we designed, put on the roof, it's actually paid for half their gas bill during the winter as well, from what they've actually put back as built up as those credits in the summertime. So
wow,
amazing, and those sort of things is what gets me ticking, I suppose, because I'm very passionate about the industry, and
it's motivation.
It is,
when you're having results for customers and you believe in what you're doing, it makes the whole process a lot easier.
That's it. A lot of people are quite nervous, I suppose, going into the process because, as I said, it's quite a big outlay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of myths around solar, I suppose. Does it work? Does it not work? All the rest of it. So it's quite good when you're having people ring you 6 months later and say, thank you so much. It's amazing. It's helped us, immensely.
Especially if you're having a bad day, and then you get a nice phone call. Right, yeah. It's like, that little bit of a boost to get you through.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So I suppose what you should expect from a survey, you want the surveyor to be asking the right questions, and you need to ask the right questions yourself, questions like, how do you come to the understanding that I need to have, say, 6 kilowatts of solar put on my roof?
Yeah.
Is the roof going to handle the weight of the solar panels? Where does the battery go? Very important questions, really, moving forward in the industry, I suppose.
On a survey, obviously you'll go in there, the customer is interested in solar, you've got a little bit of knowledge about solar. How should the customer prepare for your site visit?
Well, preparing for the site visit's pretty easy, really. We want to know what you're using in electricity, so we need to work out what that annual usage in kilowatt hours is, to be able to design the system properly, to work best for your situation, pretty much.
And that's
different.
Massively important, isn't it?
Massively important.
Doing it properly with the right information could literally depend, like the customer earn money off their system or not earn money off their system, or whether it's worthwhile or not worthwhile,
Exactly right. So it's designing that system to be, accurately correct to what your usage is now, with the view also in the future, I suppose, of is your usage going to go up? Like, are you, getting an air source heat pump? Are you getting an electric car? So these are all things you want to sort of, find out, I suppose, doing the survey.
Yeah.
To make sure you design that right, the system right. Pretty much, like, it's very important to have that electricity bill. We can then work it out. My conversation is, what are you looking to do in the future? Have you got kids? How many kids have you got? Where you're going from here? Are you changing your heating system? Are you, so there's a lot of variables, but it's if we can ascertain all that information, then that allows the surveyor to actually design that survey correctly for someone.
So the surveyor, like yourself, should be doing a bespoke survey for that customer, for their usage, for the parameters where they might not know that they're going to have a heat pump, but you're giving them all that information. So technically, like obviously I know about the process, but what the information the customer will get from that survey is how much their bill is now, how much it is going to be with solar, and that can be, like I've said, up to 60 to 80%, some cases even more, on saving on their utility bills. But from that survey, do they get all that information?
No, they'll get all that information come through after the survey. And as I said, you always want to design a system ideally with more generation than the usage of the house, so you're never going to capture all the generation as in a usage in the property. Unless you're home pressing buttons constantly just to keep up with that generation, you're going to lose some, and that's the excess that goes back to the grid. With battery technology now, it's something now that if you're not using it, it's at least storing in the battery for you to use, at a later point when you are using more than you're generating, or nighttime, for example.
Battery's a game changer.
Oh, 100%.
So like this 100%. Battery technology.
And 4 years ago, I wouldn't have spoke to you about a battery if I come into your house. So,
bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so we've just had a battery and solar on ours, and like the difference in our bill alone is just like crazy. You know?
That's it. And the things you can do with the battery now, like these cheaper night rates you get for EV cars, for example. So you can set your battery up to actually force charge at that cheaper rate at the night time, and so you're waking up every morning, you've got a full battery. There's one tariff around at the moment that it's 7.5p that they're charging from the hours of 12 through to 5 in the morning.
Who's that?
That's with Octopus.
Yeah, Octopus. Yeah, fantastic.
But you're buying it in for 7.5p, and then during the day you're selling it off at 15p, so you're doubling your money there on straight away. So it's all these little things that you can sort of once you get the full picture of what the customer's wanting, what their desire is, and why they're wanting to actually put solar on. This is how you can sort of help them to meet the goals.
Everything that you can do with these systems now, it's just built for saving money for consumers, and I recommend everyone to, if they're worried about utility bills, or they're worried about the cost of things going up, or they think they've got a bit of a big roof and they could put solar panels on with a good direction, then just inquire about it, find out more information about it, and just see what potential returns they'll have,
100%. And it's not so much you're going to get rich from having solar panels on your roof.
Of course.
All it's doing is taking back that control of, if you're using 4,000 kilowatts a year, but you're generating 5,000 kilowatts a year, your energy self-sufficiency then is, where you want to be. So,
and we're not in the hands of the utility companies.
That's right. You've taken back control. So,
and that's the key point. I think having the control in your hands.
Unit rates can go up to a pound a unit, and it's not going to affect you because you're producing it. You're owning your own system. So
exactly. You've got the panels on your roof.
Exactly
well,
right.
And. Like you said, you're in control. I couldn't have said it a better way, really. You know.
And what you also want to look out for, I suppose, being a consumer, is there's hundreds of different types of panels out there. There's hundreds of different types of inverters, batteries. So there's different qualities which come from right down here to right up here. So.
You pay for what you get, though.
Exactly right.
So
Cheaper isn't definitely better in the game. That's for sure.
Especially in this industry,
Yeah. And mate, I love a bargain. I've travelled for a lot of my life also, but it's when you want to have a look at it, you return on something that might cost you $3,000 more expensive today. Your return's going to be tenfold on what that cheaper product's going to be, because you're always replacing components. You're always always having to spend money on that system. So,
what sort of systems are you guys recommending for your customers?
So we're sort of recommending at the moment a couple of different types of panels, but those panels have every panel's got 2 warranties with it.
Okay.
One's called a performance warranty, one's called a product warranty.
Yep.
90% of panels in the UK at the moment have a product warranty anywhere from 10 to 12 years.
Okay.
And then you'll have a performance warranty of 25 years on that panel.
Yep.
The panel's only as good as your product warranty. So, once your product's up, what do you think the performance of that panel is going to be?
Yeah, okay.
So, we're offering at the moment, there's a couple of good panels, one with a...
What warranties are they?
So you're looking at a 30-year performance warranty, 30-year product warranty. So that's the big thing is you want to match those two warranties up to be the same regardless of what that is.
So customers should be asking these questions to installers.
Right.
Like,
exactly right.
Obviously we're working together, so like all our customers are getting these things.
Yep.
But like for other people go in and quote in who potentially are not in the know or want to make a quick buck, they're not really customer focused and they don't really care what warranties are on.
They're just trying to get in and out, mate. That's and you know, whether they know that that's the case or not, like
they might not know.
That they might not know also. So, but yeah, so realistically, even with your batteries and the inverter, like very important parts of the system, obviously, especially the inverter, it's the hardest working part of that system.
It's the brain of the system.
It is, mate. So, you know, the best sort of warranties you're getting on them inverters at the moment is 12 years.
Okay.
You know, but you are also getting warranties with inverters for 2 years or 5 years. So
it depends. Ask the question.
Ask the question, and that's the key thing is, you know, if you ask the right questions, you know, that's where you want to be.
This information's not out there, like for consumers. I think this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the podcast.
Yeah,
it's just
it's a great idea, Ash. It's brilliant. Yeah.
It's to enlighten people. Like everyone is thinking about renewables. It's in the news all the time. Like the industry's starting to boom, but there's not the correct information out there.
It's misinformation.
That's the right word. Yeah,
and half the reason we started what we're doing is that misinformation. We want to sort of correct that in that industry, and you know, to have that customer experience be better, you know, for them. So you know, so it's
cool.
As I said, like we're looking at getting customers now that are calling us 6 months later saying how amazing it is. Thank you so much.
That's what we want. That's what we all want.
That's exactly right.
That's why we're partnering up.
Yeah, you know? That's exactly right, mate. Exactly right.
So like warranties on panels, we're looking at 30-year performance and product warranty.
Yeah. And there's another good one out now, which is cell optimization, I suppose. And it's so the panel is actually operating, you know, per cell. So if one of those cells in, you know, half that panel say come under shade, then the other half of the panel is operating independently.
Wow. That's cool.
Because and we have been able to do that previously, and we've had to always bolt something on the back of the panel,
the optimizer
or micro inverter, and that allowed every panel to operate independently. But this new, it's
actually in the panel.
So
that's pretty cool.
It's amazing. Yeah. So
warranties on the inverters. What should customers, if they want, obviously they're investing in these systems for a long period of time.
Yep.
So I would think that they'd want, they should be asking for the longest warranties. So on the inverter, we're looking at for 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years is the maximum at the moment. That is the best inverter on the market at the moment.
So customers should
you might necessarily get 15 years out of that inverter, but you know, the warranty is there for that 12-year period. So
customers should be pushing their installers and asking their installers for like the highest of warranties for these systems. Yeah, so
exactly
12-year warranty on inverter. What about the batteries?
The batteries, you're looking at 12 years pretty much. 8,000 cycles is sort of the best on the market there at the moment. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, and one cycle's from empty to full, back to empty again.
It's a full cycle. Yeah,
and
okay.
All these, that forced charging we were talking about earlier, they call that half cycles then. So, you know, you could have your battery half full that you're topping up overnight, for example, and then you're using that half. So a half is a half, obviously, and then you know, 2 days is your full cycle.
So it'd be like 2 days.
That's
okay,
exactly
but so the amount of cycles then, if you're talking about per day, then and you're only using half a cycle a day, then potentially that's double the amount of time that you'd have, you know?
All depending on how that battery gets used, you know, how heavy your usage is, what the weather's like outside, if we're in the middle of winter, if we're in the middle of summer. So they're the big factors.
And the usage of the customer and, you know, if their system's been designed properly by subject matter experts like yourself, then that will only add to the length of time that they have those products.
Exactly right. And people say to me, does it put value on the house?
Yeah.
If you're putting something on the house with, say, a 10-year warranty on, and you sell the house after 10 years, so you're selling the property with these solar panels that who knows if they're working or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not adding value. If you're putting something on your house, then you know they've still got 20 years warranty on the panel. You know, so
there's a bit of a difference.
It's a massive difference, and this is where it's actually adding value to the property prices. And you're sort of looking anywhere from that 8 to 10% of property value that it's actually putting on. So you actually realistically, you're putting solar on and you're getting your value back there straight away with that 8 to 10% it's putting on that property price. So
it's an investment.
Yeah, 100%.
And anything like it is a big outlay for customers. Like it was a big outlay for me when I put it on my house. But the way I looked at it from my perspective was, one, like, why do I want to do it? So I wanted to do it because I wanted to reduce my electricity costs. So the big one was I was spending a fortune on electricity. I've got a big family. There's 5 of us in the house. So like our usage was quite high. So I thought, if I have no control at all over what the utility companies can charge us, and my usage is always going to be high because I've got a big family, then what can I do to fight against that, really? Probably fight's not the best word, but you know what I mean. So it was put panels on my roof, put a battery in, and take the control back from the unit price being whatever they say it to be, to be able to offset that massively.
Yeah. And I think the way you actually got to look at it also is the fact that regardless, over time, you will pay that money regardless, and you'll just continually pay this money to the utility bills. You've got nothing for it at the end of it. So all solar's doing is giving you a product for that money that you were going to spend anyway, except for now you've taken it back into your control. Doesn't matter how high those rates go now, you can now you
offset it.
That's it.
And you can finance it as well, and in most cases you can actually get a finance package that will be cheaper than what you're paying for your electricity anyway.
Exactly right, mate.
So
exactly
you can take like finance over, like I'm no expert on finance, by the way, I'm not advising anyone on finance, I'm just putting that out there. But like, you could do it over, say, a 10-year period. It could cost you, I don't know, this is an estimate, but like £100 or whatever for however much it would cost. But you could save £150 on your electricity bill.
Right. Exactly right.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's the frustrating people when you're talking to people and you can see that it actually makes sense, so much sense for them like that. It's actually going to cost you less money than you're paying now. You're getting a product for your money. Yeah. And it's
and adding value to your house.
And adding value to your house. So it's a win-win, really. Yeah.
What downfalls are in solar? You tell me.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean?
There isn't really. So
but that's why we got to put this information out there.
100%, and it's
because like the government have brought out something to reduce the carbon footprint of the whole of the UK and go down the renewable energy route, like putting wind turbines offshore, on land as well in rural areas, which will obviously be offset in the the main big companies and other non-renewable energy, okay? But as consumers as well, taking that extra power back is obviously going to be very beneficial.
100%. And what it also does is it builds that EPC rating up of the building. So if you're at a B or a C and you put 12 panels on your roof, that might bring you up to an A, so that's where it's adding that value also in that property.
And buying a house, if it is an EPC or it's like a renewable property, you can get lower interest rates on a mortgage because the EPC rating is so high.
And this is why you see some developers now, you'll drive past this beautiful big new build estate and they'll have 3 solar panels.
Oh, it does my head in.
And 3 solar panels is doing nothing for the customer at all.
Exactly.
All it's doing is bringing that EPC rating up of that building.
And they're charging more.
Price for it, which is an absolute joke. But and it's,
that does frustrate me as well. I've gone to the stage, like we're driving about in the car and like obviously we're seeing more and more panels going on people's roofs. And like I'll say to my children and my wife, oh, there's panels up there. Oh, there's panels up there. It's like panel spotting every time that we're driving about.
I drive along now. My kids are pointing them out to me, mate.
So my boy said to me the other day, Dad, why is that's a big roof? Why have they only got 2 panels on? Because I'm talking to them about renewable energy all the time because obviously it's a bit of a passion for me.
Yeah.
Just
and the
like
good thing is they're being taught about it in schools now too, which is important.
Yeah. So like I said, there's 2 panels on there. He's like, but why? Like we seen another property down there. It was a lot smaller, but the roof was full, and I said, well, it's the construction companies just trying to increase the profits on the house, which is wrong, really. You know,
100%.
Something should be done about that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think surely in the future there's something will be done about that. Surely, like, you know, you can't just put 3 panels on where it's doing nothing for someone and
charge them
more
15 grand more for the house. You know?
And the thing is, a lot of people are so naive about solar, I suppose, that they think they've got solar panels and they think, I've got 3 solar panels, this is amazing. But realistically, it's not making a dent at all. So
what we found as well. So there's obviously lots and lots of solar jobs going on at the moment within the industry. There's more and more people getting involved in it. So, but there's also grants available for people on low incomes and with poor EPC ratings in their house who can't potentially pay to do this stuff. And what we found is obviously panels were being put on people's roof, and heat pumps and everything was being put for free from the government, which is a good thing because it's only going to help the UK reach its net zero target quicker. But even though these people are having these solar systems on their roofs, it's just exporting back into the grid or offsetting their electricity a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of customers who've had these grants and then contact us and say, about batteries, because obviously batteries big at the moment. Well, it's going to be big for the future, let's be honest.
And the technology is the best it's ever been, and obviously who knows what it's going to be in the future, but you know, at the moment you've got to jump on somewhere, and that's where it is at the moment. So
what would you say to the people who've already got panels and are seeing the savings from having panels on their roof about batteries?
Definitely worth conversation. You know, even if you're one of these early pioneers, I suppose, that put it on 10 years ago, you get an amazing feed-in tariff still. We can still sort of install that battery now with not affecting that sort of feed-in tariff at all. So so put like an AC charger in that actually then will charge the battery. You know, so you're still getting your feed-in tariff, but you're getting the benefit of being able to use that energy at night time.
And is that allowed?
100%.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you've already got panels on your roof and like you are a pioneer and you've had panels on your roof for the last 10 years, then you can put batteries onto that system.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
It's getting the right person that knows what they're doing to be able to do that, to make sure you're not losing that feed-in tariff. That's very important. You know, some people are still getting about $2,000 a year back.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, you don't want to be losing that. So we've installed plenty where they've got an older system on the roof. We'll put a system in conjunction with that, so separate. So it's actually running separate to that. They're still getting their feed-in tariff, but they're getting the benefit. Their usage is higher than what they're generating there. So it's knowing what you're doing and different ways around it. You can sort of move to.
That's why you do your due diligence into the company that you're using. Look at all the prices that you get in, know about the company, make sure they're registered, they've got experience within the industry.
And reviews speak, you know, quite a bit too, you know, for people. If
especially
people are happy,
nowadays.
Like a lot of our work now is just referral based, so it's people that, you know, we've seen 2 years ago, they're happy with the system, so
happy customers.
That's it. They're talking to their brother, their sister, you know, next thing you put it on for the whole family pretty much. So it's it's good to see people are happy though, and
they come back to you, and that's what it's all about. You do things properly, you help people, which, you know, that's what we're doing. We're trying to help people lower their utility bills, and they'll come back and they'll recommend their family, friends, and it's good for us to see because people are appreciating everything that we're doing.
You're doing the right thing for people,
exactly.
That's the amazing thing, you know. It's when you can help people, it's
rewarding.
It's a warm and fuzzy feeling.
It is really rewarding. That's great. Obviously, on the survey, you walk into the property, you spoke to the customer, the job's been booked, you've got, you know what to expect because the office has asked some questions, and you're going into the property. From a customer's perspective, what questions should they ask?
It should be the question should be
no, you know what I mean. So like
so the questions the customer should be asking, I suppose, is how do you know what you're designing here, I suppose, you know, and that comes down to, I'll walk into a house and sit down with someone. We'll be talking for 15, 20 minutes before we even sort of start talking about solar. But
so now, like you've done the survey.
Yep.
You sat down. You've created the proposal.
Yep.
Yeah. You know how many panels they have on the roof. Obviously, first of all, they should be asking, how many panels can I fit on my roof? What size are the panels, and how much electricity am I going to be creating for my house?
Yep.
But how much will that offset my bill? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to know how much you're going to generate from those 12 panels being on your roof, for example. What that sort of yearly annual outcome of generation is going to look like, and that's pretty easy to sort of calculate. Done through Open Solar or something.
So that's done on the software that you're using?
Exactly right. So, and that all comes down to working out what orientation the roof's facing, the pitch of the roof,
for customers who don't know information about this, what is the best direction that the roof should be facing?
So south in England, obviously it's north in Australia.
So it turned on its head when it came out.
I think it is turned on its head. But anyway. So it's a south-facing roof is ideally what you want.
What if they're east-west?
Well, east-west. Like my system on my house, for example, it's an east-west setup. I've got 8 panels on both sides.
So because one's going east and one's going west, you've actually utilised the whole roof, not just the south-facing roof.
Right.
And you've doubled down, so you get you create electricity all day.
All day long. So you start early morning because obviously the sun's coming up in the east.
Yeah.
It's coming up, starting the system. In the middle of the day, you're getting the whole system, pretty much both sides.
Nice.
And late afternoon, you're still getting that generation from that westerly side of the house as well.
So 16 pounds you've got on your roof.
That's correct.
Roughly, what was you spending on your electricity before?
So we were spending probably around that sort of $1,200 a year just on the electricity, I suppose.
Is that before the prices went up?
This is before prices went up.
Okay,
and, so when we first got to the UK 7 years ago, I think the unit rate you were looking at somewhere that 10 to 11p a kilowatt. Where now you're looking, sort of
52.
Yeah. At one stage, I think it was talking about 60.
Wow.
Which is a massive jump.
Yeah.
So what that does for us, I suppose, is obviously, I've been in the industry for a while, so I designed the system on my own house to spec.
Yeah.
And just knowing that the more panels I can get on there, it means the more generation I'm going to create, which is going to make me more energy, efficient. So
what's your bill roughly on average?
We don't really have a bill in the summer at all. In the winter, it might be minor, but the credits I've built up in the summer from what I've generated and exported back to the grid, it's built up as a credit on my account during the summer months to allow me then to pay my bill with that credits during the winter months. So
even though the cost per unit is tripled or even quadrupled in some cases, you still pay nothing for your electricity.
That's correct.
Wow.
And it bites in me gas a little bit too. So
what have you got? You've got like a diverter valve that goes into the cylinder, and
no, we've got a combi boiler, but it's those credits that are built up over the summer months.
Because you got your gas and electric with.
So then your bill might come in. You got a 60p gas bill or whatever, and that's sort of covered by these credits you build up over the summer as well. So
potentially you could pay for no utilities.
If you had the roof space to do it.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to in the UK, I think, is every house is different, but your roof spaces are generally, you might be able to get 6 panels each side, for example.
Yeah.
So
obviously it depends on that, but that is a possibility,
100%.
You can literally
100%. Well, you can buy your electricity in, like as I said with Octopus, for 7.5p at night. You can charge that battery full, and then you're selling it back first thing in the morning straight off to the grid that you're getting 15p. So it's a.
Would you keep? So I know in the summer months you probably export it back to the grid and then just use what you create in the day to recharge it. But like in say the winter months, can you charge your battery in the evening or not in peak hours to utilise savings too?
Oh, 100%. And I do it all year round. And the fact I do it all year round is I know I'm getting it cheaper than I'm exporting it to them. So it's a no-brainer for me to have that battery full for the first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
In the winter months, obviously, like in the summer, the UK is pretty special, really. Like the hours of daylight are quite amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not relying on direct sunlight. We're relying on daylight to operate these panels. So
it doesn't have to be like bright blue skies all day.
Exactly right.
It's just
so
sun.
if you walk outside and you've got that sort of, you know, you get squint sometimes when it's overcast, like that's solar generation pretty much that's doing that UV.
Yeah.
So realistically, you know, in the winter months, you know, your panels, if the system's designed right, you're still generating enough for your usage, you know, so you're still running off the solar.
Or even very little usage.
Exactly right, yeah. So that's where the battery comes into play too. If you're charging it up cheaper overnight, you know, you've got this battery to sort of fall back. If you're using more than you're generating in those winter months, then you bring it from your battery rather than from the grid.
Yeah. So like roughly what would you say for people who are interested in having solar, like what potential like percentage would you put on it that they could offset their bill at?
So it all depends on what their usage is, I suppose. But you know, if we look at their usage, and then as I said, as long as we're generating more energy, you pretty much could get your electricity. You know, 100% of houses could get that they never had a summer bill for electricity ever. And they might be, you know, having a partial bill in the winter time. So
pay for no electricity in the summer and just a little bit in the winter.
That's right. And if you've got an immersion tank in that summer months, you know, you can be charging that your hot water too through the generation that you're generating in that summer.
So that's the potential of solar systems that you could put on your property. You could literally, this is from an industry expert, you can offset your bill by potentially 100% if you have the system designed properly with the right equipment.
And that's the important thing. The key words there was having that system designed properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Bespoke to what you need.
It has to be bespoke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Every property is different. Everyone's going to have a different usage. You know, there's a different number of people in the house, different number of appliances. So it's every household. You know, there's no two the same. So
we've been coming up against like massive national companies who are just doing quotes online.
Yeah.
You know, and then customers are coming to us, and then we're like, we don't do it that way. We want to come to site and do a bespoke survey for you so that we can give you an accurate reflection of what you can have.
There's a lot of companies out there now that all they want to do is get in and get the low-hanging fruit. So they want to get in and say the surveyors that are coming into your house, they might be a commission-only basis, for example. You know, so that they're getting paid on what they actually put on your roof. But if you go over a certain number of panels where they have to start doing a G99 application, for example, it's taking away their time that they could actually be putting more panels on someone else's roof. So they'll actually make it more expensive if you go over 12 panels or 13 panels than it's needed to be, or what that price is.
It's ridiculous. So they're actually designing systems that
aren't benefiting the customer at all. You know what I mean? So
just to get commission.
Just to get commission, just to get those jobs going quicker, so they're smashing out 2 jobs a day rather than, you know, taking the time, and it might take them the whole day to do the job rather than.
You actually said to me the other day that you'd seen on multiple occasions from multiple companies that they put a smaller, like a way undersized inverter in a property just to push it through quicker.
100%. So there's two type of applications you've got to do for that grid application. One's a G99, one's a G98.
Okay.
So that's all depending on what size that inverter is, pretty much, is what one you do. A G98, we know it's going to be accepted. It can be fitted the next day, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's an inverter smaller than 3.68 kilowatts, I think it is. So people coming in designing smaller systems because they know they can come and install the next day, you know, rather than, you know, having to wait for 2-3 weeks to actually, you know, do the right thing for the customer, really.
What's the, like, for a G99 then, what time frame should the customer be
you should be anywhere from that sort of 2 weeks. It could be up to 6 weeks, depending, you know, if we're in the middle of summer, obviously it's busier, all these applications, so they're getting snowed under, I suppose. So it depends on who the network provider is as well, whether it's SSE, whether it's National Grid, whether it's Western Power.
Yeah.
So all this plays a part in that sort of decisions. I know a lot of these new build houses now, they've, Western Power might have subcontracted that estate out to another company, which could take, I've had one that take up to 4 months. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it is depending on each project. So
depending on what area you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually had a customer that we built out a proposal for. Hopefully they're going to be going ahead this week. It was a 30 panel system, and they'd had we recommended they have other quotes off other people. They wanted to go with us, but I said, look, do your due diligence into the company, have a couple of other quotes. They actually had 2 other companies, one a national company that said, look, it was a 30 pounds, so it's going to have to do like a G99 and everything like that, depending on the time frame. That's when it would be. And that we said the same thing as well. They actually had another company come out and say, we'll put in a smaller inverter for the meantime to get a job over the line, so then we can apply for a G99 and then we'll come and change that inverter for free. The information I give to the customer then is, okay, they are trying to do it in that time frame, but obviously that's not right.
Yeah.
Okay. But also, if something was to go wrong and all that electricity ended up going back to the grid, the customer would actually be liable for whatever problems that would cause. So like the customers need to be like getting the right information and like come to the podcast, listen to like all the information that we are putting out, because it's as informative, and we're just trying to, create as much knowledge so people are making the right decisions and have all the information when they're going down this route,
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, it's misinformation. Like, I've been to jobs where, the 10,000 kilowatt usage a year, and there's been a system designed there with 12 panels when they've got room for 30 panels. You know what I mean? So it's just like
just to get the install quick,
just to get the job, So which is crazy, It's it's a lot of misinformation, and as I said, that's why we're in the industry, is to see this right and make sure that people are getting, what's going to be useful. It gives solar a bad name if you've put 12 panels on when you need 30 and you think to yourself, this is doing bugger all,
Sometimes it is the budget as well. Like, we've had some customers who are in a great position. They've got this humongous roof, but unfortunately their budget was only set for a certain amount that they could put on. But like what we say to them is, like, that's no problem. Do what you can for the moment, and we're always here when you need us to come back and add more panels on, or like with our batteries. Like the batteries we use Fox batteries at the moment.
Fox is good.
And like we can add to those batteries without doing like a full day add into the installation, so it allows for us and the customer to be more flexible when they see, okay, like this is really working, let's add more batteries,
Yeah. And even if they can't, say, even afford the battery to start with, it is making sure that system is battery ready. So when they do want to, put a battery into the system, that they don't have to go changing the inverter. They put a grid-tied inverter in,
We've had this loads.
So it's making sure, even if you're not ready for a battery, for example, you're making sure that system's right when you are ready for a battery, So.
And the installation company, it doesn't cost that much more to put a hybrid inverter in. So like, why companies are putting like a normal inverter in when they have the option for a hybrid
but the customer should have the choice too, like even as,
but they're not giving them the information.
Right.
Like it says, misinformation again,
So I've installed quite a few jobs now.
So what's your most memorable jobs to date?
Most memorable, I suppose, is the people you've helped the most, I suppose. The people that are most grateful, that are ringing you back to say, wow, this is amazing. Like, I didn't believe you to start with, and we put it on, and how amazing the system actually is working and operating. Because
there's lots of uncertainty because the the misinformation out there.
And that's it, and people come into the house, and I think double glazed salesmen have given the industry of sales a bad name, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't hearing that.
It's not sales; it's surveys. You're
that's
going
exactly
in,
right.
like,
and that's the hardest thing is to get across to people that
that
I'm
bridge
not a
the gap,
salesman.
gap.
That's it. Yeah, that's
know,
it. And it's trying to bridge
the
that
gap.
gap of being a salesman to being someone that's giving you an educated,
survey.
That's it. Exactly right.
Do you know what I mean? And helping with what is required and doing it correctly.
Yeah. But there's been some big memorable jobs too, like, where you're doing cable runs of over 150 metres, to get back, and it's about sizing that cable up right so you're not getting that voltage drop, in that distance. You always want to sort of get that running in DC back from where the panels are in the paddock, for example, back and have the inverter and battery up in the house, for example, so, you're getting that less drop over that
So
period.
what's the biggest job to date that you've done?
Biggest
how
job.
Many panels?
How many panels? I think would be around that 300.
300, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And what size was that system?
I couldn't even tell you off so,
roughly.
I could work it out. I need to calculate it.
Okay.
But I've done quite a few jobs over the time. So, do we say 100? Yeah, so about 100 kilowatts, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow. So
and we've got a few
a system of that size.
Yeah.
What usage did the customer have to put a system?
Like we're talking like dairy farms or
okay, so high usage.
Farm usage where they're milking 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Big
so commercial, industrial size stuff.
Right.
So going down into that route then. So if we're talking about really big jobs, like for business owners, because obviously business owners are going to have their businesses are going to have to hit net zero by 2050. So for the people who obviously have businesses like that and they have to hit net zero, what would you say they should be looking at with regards to solar?
Well, as I said, it comes down to that usage again, I suppose. So, and what that that cost and what that offset can be. Having panels in a field or on a big barn or something like that.
Or industrial units.
Industrial units, yeah.
Like some units.
And there's different things we can do these days too, where you can go down that CapEx model where you're buying the system outright.
Yeah.
Or there's other systems where you can actually put it on fully maintained for the next 20 years. You go into an agreement with some investors that will put it on for free, but the system is fully maintained and they're getting the benefit. They're actually acting like they're actually electricity companies. So you're actually buying the electricity from them. So at a much cheaper rate. It could be down to 12.
So if you have a business and you're in a commercial unit, you can actually get solar installed on your unit for free and pay less on electricity, and it's completely financed.
That's correct, and maintained. So
maintained.
So over that course of the period, if a panel goes or whatever, they're back straight away because they're getting the best out of the investment they can get as well. The investors.
So let's talk a little bit of numbers by here. So how much are these companies paying for a unit now? Roughly,
as in
commercial.
So it's come down quite a bit. Probably a year ago, people were locking in for 60p a unit.
So 60p a unit, and they can get a fully installed. Like potentially, I think it's got to be what's the minimum it has to be for something like that.
It has to be sort of over that 80 kilowatts.
I think like 80, 100 kilowatts. So potentially that could be.
Fully funded,
like a 500 panel system or like 1,000 panels on a roof. And they can have 1,000 panels on a roof, fully funded, pay less for their electricity, and
not cost them a cent,
and not cost them a penny.
That's correct.
Yeah, wow.
Any upgrades that need to be done to
fully maintained
junction boxes or anything like that, it's all included in it.
It's all included. And that's a viable option now today.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, like we're in talks now with my business partner at the moment. It's at 3 universities talking about that same model with them at the moment. So we've just done a big school up in Scotland that is, they're going ahead with that same.
So this is schools, this is commercial properties, businesses, hospitals, everyone. Farms is a big one.
Yeah.
Every business is going to have to hit this net zero target by 2050. So knowing what we know at the moment, and knowing that these targets are going to be coming in, is there a better time to be putting solar on a property?
Now's the time. Like, and people can say, well, what's the technology going to be in 5 years' time? Is it better to do it in 5 years' time? You've got to jump on at some point.
Yeah.
So, at the moment, it's the best it's ever been. And, moving forward, I'm sure it's going to change. It has in the last 10 years. So, but there's no time like now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, especially when we're talking industrial, commercial type of stuff, if you've got a massive roof or a massive field and you were going to have to hit this net zero target by 2050 anyway, then get a fully funded, fully maintained package now that can be supplied by an investor and reduce your electricity bill by potentially 60%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you were paying 60, it's maybe not quite.
It'd be
it would be
60%.
Yeah, because if you were paying 60 pence and you're potentially going to be paying just over 15 now.
Even like commercial rates now that people are locking in for, you're looking at that sort of 30p, sort of 32p.
That's 50%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, well, it's even a bit better, isn't it? 12p a kilowatt.
And that's like fully funded, fully maintained, like all the paperwork done. That's like, what would they have to do? Just inquire.
Yeah. Talk to us.
Yeah.
We'll be able to sort it.
Yeah. And like on the installer side, like everything's taken care of. They haven't got to put a deposit down or anything like that.
It's fully funded.
Yeah.
So it's all just Yeah.
Wow.
It's just putting the agreement in place, and you sign an agreement over the next. Might be 20 years, that's sort of.
Yeah, obviously, like it's got to be over the lifespan of the system, you know.
And even after that contract's up, you've got an option to buy the system outright for £1, for example.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you own it outright after
for £1
over that period. So
that's bonkers. Yeah. At the moment, sorry, man. Like at the moment, it's the best that it can be, I think, especially with like the technology, with these big funds that are coming in place. It couldn't be a better time for renewables in general, but especially solar.
Yeah, especially solar. And as you see, like anything, I suppose, as you see, panel prices at the moment are the lowest they've ever been.
Yeah.
So, it's a great time to sort of get involved with it.
Yeah.
But as you see electricity prices go north, then you're going to see the price of solar also do the same. Like
exactly.
That's how the world works.
Yeah, the more you're going to be getting a return on your investment. Yeah. So like, if every property has to have panels in the UK, and probably only about 5% of the properties have it now, so we're talking about a 95% demand within this industry, then the prices are only going to go up, talking from like a gas perspective of when the combi boiler come out, installations at the time was probably about 3-4 times more expensive than what they are today, because the technology was new. It was groundbreaking technology, and that's where we are with the solar and renewable market at the moment.
100%.
So like prices will go up, technology will get better, but making a start as soon as possible, I'd say, is the best opportunity.
Exactly right. And the way you got to look at it too, like if these more solar that's put on roofs means that less energy is being bought from British Gas, EDF, all the rest of it. So they've still got to meet targets for their shareholders. So this is why that pushes prices of the electricity up. Also, is just because there's not everyone's now reliant on the actual.
At the moment they've got the purse strings and they are deciding what we have to pay. But the more we take a stand as a collective of people, as a whole, then we can have more of a say. And by going down the renewable energy route, like solar panels, heat pumps, and economical products, it gives us the power back to fight against them.
Control.
The control,
back,
So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Mate, as I said, I love my job. I'm passionate about it. And
it rubs off, mate. And
yeah.
to the conversations that we've had, and I'm excited about it anyway. But like dealing with you and the team, it really opened up my eyes really to everything with regards to the solar side, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, so thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's great.
So obviously when choosing the right company to come in and do any work in your property, like I always say to my customers, even if they just want us to do the work, I say, look, get 3 quotes, speak to everyone, try and get 3 visits to your property. Like some people only want to do an online visit, but that's a red flag straight away, especially in the solar industry.
Yeah, you need to see the property. You need to assess what's there, what's not there.
It's an assessment.
That's exactly right.
What I like to say to my customers, it's like a pyramid. So obviously you've got how quick they can do the work.
Yep.
You've got the quality of the work that a company can do, and then you've got the value of the job that you pay for, you know. So if you look at it on a pyramid style, you've got obviously the value of the job, so the price of the job at the top, and then potentially if it's an emergency in the boiler industry, for instance, you want it done ASAP.
A necessity, you need it.
It's a necessity. So like, the equation that I talk about with them is if you need it done ASAP and you want the quality to be the best because it's going in your home, you add those and you've got the value, so they should work together. So I say to customers, like, do your due diligence in the company, look at their reviews, speak to the person, make sure they're knowledgeable.
Yep.
And then make an assessment from there, but take that pyramid, for instance, into consideration, So on the solar side, I know there can be delays with G99s and things like that, or like the size of the system, but within that pyramid, what would you say to customers, or how do you say to customers to choose the correct company?
Do your homework, and as we talked about before, it's about those regulatory bodies to have them, make sure that that's the accreditations there for the company you're looking at.
MCS, HICE, REC, NAPIT or NICEIC.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Trustmark as well is another good one.
Yeah. And do your homework. Like, speak to 3 people. Do you know what I mean? Get them around. Yeah. Get 3 people around your house. You're soon going to smell. People are going to tell you different information. I suppose it could get confusing.
I like the way you changed what you was going to say.
You'll soon make your own mind up in that sort of thing. As I said, it's who you're going to get along with, who you're going to trust the most, I suppose, to carry out this work on your property. That's a decision that's going to come down to it. So definitely do your homework. And as I said, there's a lot of cowboys out there. There's a lot of good installers out there. So
it's picking the right ones,
Yeah.
But like we talked about, so the information that they need to have is what size inverter, how much batteries, and not every inverter and every battery and every panel is the same. It might be like the same size or something like that, but as we talked about,
different brand.
Ask about the warranties, ask about where the system's going to be.
Yeah. How's it going to look on the roof? Where's the inverter going to go? Where's the battery going to go?
Yeah.
You never want to put a battery outside unless it's in an insulated box, because what happens, these cold temperatures you get in the UK, it's going to bring the charge rate and the discharge rate of that battery down dramatically if we get below that sort of 8 degrees. So
there is something, like, I think all the main companies, it is a regulatory what's it called, standard that all these batteries should be working to. But obviously the colder it gets, and it does get quite cold sometimes in December and stuff like that, it will have a little bit of an effect, you'd say?
100%. It just affects your discharge rate and your charge rate of the battery, so that's what you're losing out on. It's operating very minimally the colder we get. So, and
that'll affect your usage. Well, what's it called? How much you create.
Your generation.
Your generation, yeah.
So not so much from your panels, but it's going to affect how much of that energy the battery will be charging at what rate.
At what time. Okay.
So that's your biggest problem. Having it say outside, for example. Some people like to put it outside on a wall because they want to show their friends how amazing it looks and all the rest of it.
But
realistically, you don't want it outside.
In some cases, that's going along. That's happening quite a lot. That you are having batteries outside. Like not every property in the UK you can have batteries inside because some properties are not. Are not built with the amount of storage to put somewhere inside. Space-wise.
But even if it is outside, or in a garage or anything, you just want to make sure you're making an insulated box or getting a box that's insulated that you can put around the battery, so to give you some temperature control. Pretty much, so.
That's a good one. Putting a bit of insulation in there and putting a cover over it, because at the end of the day, it's an electrical installation. Do you know what I mean? Yes, they are made to go outside, but it's sometimes just, especially in the UK, it's raining sometimes in the UK, So
and all that weather's anything, whether it's your car, whether it's a battery, whether it's a push bike.
Of course. So it does have an effect.
100%.
Talk to the installer about the plan. So even when you get in 3 different companies to come in and do a survey on your house or your home or your business, speak to them individually about what their plan is for your installation and then work out what suits you best. Would you say that's correct?
100%. And you want to look at what sort of roof tile you've got, that's depending on then what sort of roof hooks we use. And whether we have to penetrate the tile or whether we're sliding the tile up. So it's all comes down to that. And if we're penetrating the tile, you want to make sure that we're putting the right things in place to actually stop any leaks or any of that sort of stuff. Going on. So it's just all question asking, and the more questions you ask, the better it is. I love questions myself. It shows
interested.
That's exactly right.
So a plan, do your due diligence on the company, look at reviews. You want to have a good relationship with the surveyor. You want to feel a trust between the pair of you. Anything else you think?
You want to also know that the company after the installation are still going to be there to
aftercare.
Talk to. Do you know what I mean? So
aftercare is
massive. And it's something that isn't I don't know, done enough, I suppose.
I agree.
Because I speak
especially
to
in the
now.
Heating industry as well.
And same with the solar industry, it's just
chuck them in and
chuck them in and
it's
it's gone.
Wrong.
It's done. I've got my cash. I'm out of here, So and then you want to make sure that aftercare's there. So with our company, we won't.
That'll show in the reviews, though. If you've got people who are just chucking installations in and you never hear off them again, you'll see that in the reviews.
100%.
Anything else?
No, that's probably about it, I suppose, isn't it?
So you want to make sure they've got a plan. They talk to you about the warranties. Make sure you're fully in the know with the products that they're installing, what warranties they're going to be, what make manufacturer, what make the models are, and what manufacturer they're going to be putting in.
And you should get this all in handover paperwork. This should be a big folder that you've got. You make your panels, you make your battery, what the warranties are, your warranty certificates. All that with that. That's post installation, obviously. So
but before the installation, when they're choosing the company, they should be asking these questions to get as much information, so then they can make an informed decision of the best company to go with. And then obviously aftercare stuff that'll come in. That's when you hand over parks and everything like that. You get your certificates to be able to go on the new tariffs
to be able to
and stuff like that. Of course. Tariff wise, from your experience, obviously we talked a little bit about Octopus. How can customers choose Well, obviously on the survey side of it, first of all, you recommend a tariff to go on.
Yep.
But like obviously that decision is still left up to the customer further down the road. But how should they be choosing what tariffs that they want to go on when they've got their certificate?
So your surveyor should be helping you with this process as well, like be able to advise on, you know, what the best rate is on the market at the moment, you know, what the best force charging rate, all that, you know. If they're in the industry and they know what they're doing, then they'll know these tariffs as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so not that we can actually sit there and physically change a tariff for you,
because it's got to be them.
But that's it, because it's data privacy and all the rest of it. So it's whatever they call it, but it's making sure that, you know, we can hold your hand through that process, and you know, and it's just having that after support and that support throughout the process. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, that what the cable run, for example, coming from your battery to the inverter down to your incoming meter, like where's that cable even coming, you know, where's it going?
Exactly.
So things to all
that's
keep
the
in
plan,
mind.
you know.
Exactly
so
right.
the plan that you're putting together on the survey that gets passed over to the installers, you know, that you've got to make sure it's suitable for you when you're home. Like I said, bespoke surveys from the surveyor and from the company for your installation. Like that's another massive one when choosing the right company. Well, thanks very much, mate, for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ash. Brilliant, mate.
Honestly,
look forward to working
it's
with
been
you in the
great.
future.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for everything, and I'm sure everyone's very appreciative of it. So, top man.
Thank you. Cheers. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks again for tuning in to the Renewable Radio Podcast. If you've got any topics or anything that you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please drop comments and let us know. We'll be happy to get other subject matter experts on, like Steve, to answer any questions or any queries you might have. Thanks again to our sponsors, the Hale Group, that cover all bespoke boiler installations, solar installations, heat pump installations, and all renewable energy. Big shout out to Steve and KMM Energy Solutions for coming on the podcast and providing the wealth of knowledge within the industry to help give people good, accurate information to potentially go down the renewable route. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks,
amazing.
Ash. Champion, mate.
Absolutely.